I'd like to begin our video today by asking you to go through a bit of a self-awareness exercise with me. Are you up to that? Okay. Now, it's two parts to it. First, I want you to think back through your own little memory bank about 2 or 3 of the episodes in your life that you would say brought out the very best in you. Something about your history that might show other individuals, if they're curious to know about you, what's good and right about you. Now, my guess is that as you think about what you might include on that, you would focus on a time when maybe you were especially helpful to someone else. There was a kindness that came through in you. Certainly, I'm going to make the assumption that whatever it is you're thinking about is anchored in a spirit of goodness. You were probably being serving or helpful to someone else. It may be that you were showing patience when patience just simply wasn't warranted, and you were being attuned to the feelings and the needs of someone else. That's what you can probably look to and say, yeah, that's a time in my life where I was glad that I was able to do something in that direction. Now, the second half of this self-awareness exercise is, now I want you to go backwards into your personal history, and you know where I'm going with this. And I want you to think about maybe 2 or 3 times in your life where the very worst in you was experienced. Now, that's not as fun of an exercise, and that's not as flattering as what we would like, but you can look back and perhaps you can think of times when your anger ran away with you, and it just caused you to become very inappropriate in the way that you dealt with some individuals. It could be that you were living with certain behaviors or patterns that required secrecy and dishonesty as you engaged with other individuals. It may be that you used or exploited or manipulated someone, and now as you look back, you think, I just don't like that about me at all. Or it could be that you just kind of lost it, or you became very indifferent and uncaring towards some other individuals. Now, what I want us to see is that each one of us has what we refer to as the duality. There's a side of you, there's a side of me that's capable of very good, and then there's a side of us that's capable of things that are not very good. You know, when people come into my counseling office and they talk with me about that second list, the stuff that's not very good, there's a phrase they can sometimes use, and I never let them get away with this phrase, and that is, that's just not me. You know, they look at all those negatives like, I don't like having, no, that's just not me. And my reaction when I hear that is, well, then who was it? You see, on the inside is a possible hidden element that can take you down the path toward narcissism. We like to point at other folks and say, look at those people over there, how narcissistic they are. But honesty requires us to say, I'm capable too. Now, the good thing is we know that narcissism it's a pattern that's on a spectrum, and those of us who are in a high growth mode acknowledge that. We admit it within ourselves, and then we do something about it so that the pattern doesn't take over. But then there are other individuals who either they don't notice it, they don't look inside themselves very deeply, or they don't care, and that pattern just runs away with them. And so those primary ingredients of narcissism, high control, low empathy, exploitive, manipulative kind of ingredients, very strong sense of defensiveness, inability to receive input, those kind of things, that pattern just runs away with them, and it becomes more of the defining feature. And so what I'm wanting us to recognize is, if you and I are going to be in a growth mode, we need to be willing to say, I've got the possibility in me, but I'm doing something about it. Now, let's just think about what this might mean. You know, if I encounter you, I'm probably going to learn that you're capable of being friendly, but you're also capable of being dismissive. There are times when you can be very inclusive. There might be times, though, when you're rejecting. There are times when you're fair-minded. Sometimes you're emotionally erratic. Sometimes you show self-restraint. Other times you can be wildly expressive. Sometimes you're kind. Sometimes you're hateful. Sometimes you're a real good encourager. Other times you nurse a critical spirit. Sometimes you connect well. Other times you're indifferent. Sometimes you're reliable, other times you're unreliable. Sometimes you're honest, sometimes you tell lies. Sometimes you blend well. Other times you're stubbornly selfish. Sometimes you're a courteous driver. Other times you're a rude driver. Sorry, I had to just throw that one in. I'm kind of stepping on your toes there. It's not flattering, but the possibility lies on the inside of you just as it lies on the inside of me. Now, there are some characteristics or some elements that need to be trained on the inside of us as we decide that we want to slow down any kind of trending towards the narcissistic side and minimize that. And I want you to think, I have 5 different things here that I want us to look at, and we're going to see that if you're able to do this, is something that people who are highly narcissistic tend not to do. For example, one of the things that needs to happen so that the narcissistic bent doesn't run away with you is you just need to be honest about yourself. Keep in mind that a defining feature of narcissism is their very strong sense of defensiveness. That, in fact, they create what I call an alternate reality. There's that shield, that false self that they put around themselves. And they can't be honest about what they are. They're constantly rationalizing and justifying and blaming and trying to find out who their scapegoat is going to be, because if there's something wrong, it can't possibly be me. It's all based on telling lies to oneself. A second thing that's necessary to keep you from trending in the narcissistic direction. You want to be prone towards introspective thinking. Are you the kind of person that says, I like to pick up on nuance? I know that there are times when little things that somebody else might miss can mean something, and I need to be honest about that. What does it mean when I act this way versus that way? Narcissists, very black and white. They're so busy trying to keep everything inside the groove or onto their agenda list that they don't really like to think on a very deep and introspective basis at all. Well, another ingredient that you want to have, and this kind of goes right along with that, and that is objective thinking, as opposed to subjective, emotionally driven thinking. Keep in mind that people who have a real strongly narcissistic bent, they tend to live with a lot of shame in the way that they engage with life. When something goes wrong, they tend to put shame on other individuals, but the reason they do is because it's already on the inside of them. Somewhere deep into their past, they learn that mistakes can't be managed objectively. Mistakes are managed with condemnation and with judgment, and so they learn to think that way, and so they place it towards other individuals. The objective person says, let's weigh things out. Let's look at the facts and what it tells us, and let's see if we can have a more factually based way of looking at ourselves and at people, as opposed to just an emotionally driven way that tends to cause us to have what we call confirmation bias. It makes us see what we want to see. Another characteristic, a fourth characteristic that you want to have to keep you away from your own narcissistic possibilities, and that is curiosity about other people. Another defining feature of narcissism is self-absorption. Whereas if you're the kind of person that says, when I'm in the presence of someone, I want to know who they are. And I want to know what makes them tick and how I might be able to blend more successfully with them. Because you see, as I get to know you better, I get to be a better version of myself. And perhaps I can learn how to flow and engage with individuals who stretch me and take me beyond my natural boundaries. I like that. I want to know you. And then a fifth characteristic or quality that we want to maintain to keep us away from our narcissistic bent is an attitude of equality. When it comes to achievement and performance, we can vary quite a bit. I may do things better than you, and you may have a lot of things you do better than me. But when it comes down to core worth as a human being, we don't want to put that on a hierarchical kind of a ladder. You have worth, I have worth. We differ with our experiences. We differ with our skill set. But at the very base of what we are, you deserve goodness, just as I would hope you would think I deserve goodness. So I want you to just kind of think through a few questions with me as you try to learn how to minimize any potential narcissism and recognize, as I ask you to think about these questions, the people who are on the far end of narcissism don't think like this. One question is, what has my exposure to narcissistic people done to me? Now, there's some people, because they've had many individuals in their life who are very controlling and overbearing and manipulative, they become that way too. Some of you, when you make your comments and talk about what you're trying to do with your narcissistic people in your life, you talk sometimes in hate. What we need to do, I hope they burn in hell, or I hope they just, get what's coming to them, and I'll be the first in line to be able to do it, smack them in the face. I don't want to think that way, because that just means I've become just like them. If I see something in someone else that has that strong narcissistic tendency, my question is, what's my better alternative? I want to seek to change in a good kind of way, as opposed to mimicking back at them what I don't like, what they do to me. Or another question I'd like for you to ponder, and that is, what kind of role models do you seek out? Whether it's in your personal life or people that are in the public sector or even in the entertainment industry, what draws you in and makes you think, yeah, I want to be more like that? And I'm hoping it's not role models of people that like to smack others around and be mean and harsh. I'm hoping you can find people that aspire you to be a good and a better person. On a personal level, I want you to think, do I like to be challenged? Do I like to learn? Do I see myself as being someone who's in an evolutionary kind of process, in the sense that I know that I can always grow and I can be a better person? I haven't learned everything yet, and I hope that today's going to be a day where I add to my repertoire. Do you like to be challenged? And then finally, how thorough is your commitment to ingredients like love and goodness? Keep in mind, here at our the Surviving Narcissism community, I'm holding on to my DRC mantra. Dr. Carter, or Dr. C, DRC, stands for dignity, respect, civility. Are those traits that you aspire to on an ongoing way? If so, I'm hoping that you can, when you see those moments in your life where there's a spark of that narcissistic possibility, you can think, nope, I've got something much better. Here's what it's going to be. This is where it's going to take me. That's what I'm committed to. I do hope that videos such as this will inspire you to be the best version of yourself as possible. And we need to be challenged. And when you see people that are not going in the right direction, I really do hope that it prompts you to say, I'm going to be the change. I'm going to live into it. Just watch, because that's what I'm committed to. If you'd like, I would encourage you to hit the subscribe button below so that you can be apprised of more videos that come along. Beneath, we also have a link to our email list, and as you sign up for that, then you'll make yourself available to some other bonus videos and articles and promotions. If you're in need for counseling online and you want somebody that can help you sift this out, I know there can be great benefit to that. We have a link there that could help you as well. We also have links to my books, my online workshops, and we have links to coffee mugs. You'll notice Gus is over there on the couch back there. He slept through another one, but that's okay. I don't mind. Listen, I want you to, as you go forward from here, I want you to go with the notion that says, I want to find peace. I want to be a whole person, and I want others, when they see me, to be inspired to go in that direction with me. That's when you know you've got it.